Hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm your host, Sophie Turner, and I work in the customer success team at DueDil. I'm joined today by Sam Barton, who's the Chief Technology Officer at Smart Pension. Workplace pension provider Smart Pension is an advanced technology platform that specialises in offering auto-enrolment and is free to use for employers and their advisors. Smart Pension is currently enrolling a small business every 7 minutes into its regulator-accredited pension scheme and now has almost 200,000 members. So Sam was one of the first adopters of our API, and today is going to share with us his story of embracing data to drive automation. My colleague Kleena is also online to help with any technical issues you might have, and also to take any questions for myself or Sam during the presentation, which we'll answer in a session at the end. So thanks for joining us, Sam.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So to start with, could you tell us a bit about Smart Pension and how the business came about?
Yes, of course. To do that, I kind of need to go back in time a little bit to when this all began. In 2012, some new government legislation required that all businesses in the UK offer their staff a workplace pension. And each business was given a staging date. This is the date they had to set up their pension scheme. This date was based on the number of employees they had at the time. So big companies with thousands of staff would go first. And so you can imagine companies like Sainsbury's with all their store staff being set up first. At this stage, big schemes took months of work to set up, changing their payroll processes and informing their staff correctly. It was all very new and a complex process. So the first couple of years, this new process began. A small number of big firms were being set up each month. The staging day calendar was designed to enrol the larger and more complex employers first, and with the smaller employers last. But in many ways, it was those smaller employers coming later that was going to be the more complex problem. That problem of volume was going to be compressed towards the end of the process. So this problem was actually given a name. People calling it the capacity crunch within the industry, and was what encouraged us to come up with a better solution. With hundreds of thousands of employers yet to stage, and with the incumbents at the beginning taking around 2 weeks to set up a pension scheme, we saw an opportunity to disrupt the market. We wanted to offer the SME that was yet to stage an efficient and affordable solution. So we set about building a technical solution to this problem that would get employers compliant with a competitive but rock solid pension scheme that they could understand.
And do you have a feel for the number of people who've signed up so far?
Yes, this is a really exciting time for us because we built our own platform. We're not using third-party software that charges licensing fees or per seat fees. We don't have to pass on those costs to the companies who use us. There's no hefty setup fees or monthly ongoing fees, unlike our competitors. So our platform is free to use for employers and their advisors. And so as a result, we're seeing around, as you said earlier, it's a huge number of companies signing on each day. But the metric I really like is actually seeing the number of new employees that are being set up, which averages around 1,000 a day. And that kind of really rocks my boat, because that's what we're doing in the first place. You know, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help people save for the future, and it's my reason for getting out of bed every day.
Excellent. So the people using Smart Pension are people like employees as well as employers?
Well, yes. So we have a mixture of people who would actually use our software or platform. It ranges from big employers who have hundreds of staff and have an advisor to set up the scheme and manage it for them, but also the small business owner who doesn't have an advisor, who doesn't have an accountant, has told he's got to do this and just has to work it out himself, and he doesn't have the pension expertise to set up a scheme himself. And of course, employees, once they're set up, these people have never had a pension scheme before. They may have had one that was organised by their company, but they would have just received a letter saying this is how much money you've got once a year. They don't necessarily have to go in there and change some of the options, which fund they want and what percentage they want to put into a pension scheme. So we have a platform for advisors, for our companies, and for the employees. Everyone can log in, look at their pension scheme, and manage it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I like this slide. It's, we spoke about the large employers who staged first. These people were helped through the process by pensions experts, people who had done this many times before. before, especially with the more complex or DB schemes. But this is a defined contribution scheme, and it's a very complicated process, and one that every single business has to do themselves. The pensions regulator and DWP were conscious that not all employers had an internal HR team or someone to set up the scheme for them. So they set about to raise awareness around it. And this chap you may have seen on TV is called Worky. He's look at him. He's clearly a distant relative of Sully from Monsters, I think. But you know, and you know, look at his sheer girth. He weighs in at just over £9 million. That's the hefty price that they pay to get the message across that every business in the UK has to set up a work-based pension. And clearly, this is the model that's going to get that message across. So, well, as you can see, despite appearances, they are taking this very seriously. I mean, I think that the cost alone is evident there. But hopefully you have, any of you listening have seen this chap. And but if you didn't know that was the message he was trying to get across, then I forgive you. Yeah, so if you weren't able to understand our furry friend back there, the message he was trying to get across is that every single business in the UK must offer a workplace pension to their staff, and there are over 700,000 businesses yet to do this. Staging dates vary depending on the size of the employer, with the smaller employers staging last, and this means that as a country we've already enrolled a lot of employees into a workplace pension scheme, but actually there are over 2/3 of UK businesses yet to do this. So that's back to the volume problem we're talking about. Once set up, both the employer and the employee contribute towards the employee's pension scheme, and the employee gets tax relief from HMRC. Everyone starts off paying a small percentage. Currently, it's 1% of the employer's salary, and the employer puts in 1% as well. But the actual percentages have to go up over time. So eventually, you have a decent pension pot towards the end. Yeah, this. I love this chap. He's furiously working away at that sort of 1980s cap. So this is a small business owner. He's with his wonderful tie. He's just been told he needs to set up a pension scheme for his business. And how does this work in reality? He runs a business, and he's got to he's been sent a letter by the pensions regulator saying you need to now set up a workplace pension. So he's got to work at his staging day. He's got to create a workplace pension scheme. He's then got to assess all his staff for eligibility, and that's a really complicated process because you need to be an accountant, and you need to be a mathematician. You need to be good at tons of things. And this guy, which might be running a very small business, has no idea about this. Working out whether the staff are eligible is dependent on how old they are, how much money they make, and also where they work, whether they physically work in the UK at the time. So these are complicated things, and to make it more interesting, the rules on how much you earn vary each year, so he's got to stay up to date. Pretty complicated stuff. After having done that, he's got to send statutory letters to his staff to let them know about the pension scheme. He's got to pay pension contributions, not just once, but every single time he pays them through payroll. He's also going to manage his employee membership. Now, that means that some people who were eligible to join the scheme and were automatically joined it could choose to leave it. They might just decide they can't afford it. And the other way around, some people who weren't eligible might choose to want to go in despite the fact they couldn't get in the first place. So he's got to become a traffic cop. And then finally, he's got to fill out a declaration of compliance. That's just his way of saying, I've done this, and to let the pensions regulator know. And if he doesn't do that, he gets fined. So it's pretty annoying stuff if you're running a business and you want to just focus on your day job. So that reason is we were seeing this as being a big problem for small business owners, and it was that caused us wanted us to set up Smart Pension. So as I said, it's a lot of them for them to sort of digest. We saw an opportunity to disrupt the market by offering something that was easy to understand, compliant with this new and complex legislation, but importantly being cost effective for that guy. And in many ways, as you can see on this our strapline, we focused on the fast, secure, and free piece. That's been our mantra. And in many ways, this is where our marriage with DueDil comes into play. That DueDil are very much part of that word fast in our strapline. This, we're about to do a demo of how you set up a scheme with us, and we'll walk you through it and you'll see how we interact. So this is the first step, and you've got, very simply, you're just typing in your email address here, but this chap called Tom, he's putting his email address, he's going to fill in his first name, last name, pretty straightforward stuff. This simply sets up his profile within the account.
Okay.
Obviously, you're not going to share his password. A little bit of data gathering, how they found us, about us. And then on the next slide, this is where we connect to the DueDil API. So we start typing in a company name. And get this one right, you might have heard of this company, doing well in the banking sector. So as you can see, it comes back with quite a few different businesses with the same name, but actually we're obviously looking for this one particular one. And in fact, if you could pause on this slide, Sophie, we'll just have a quick look at this. So we've gone off to the DueDil company endpoint. We've grabbed the trading address, the registered address, as you can see up there, for that business, but also a list of the directors. And this is what we call the magic moment. So somebody signs up, they're doing this themselves, and they can see their details. And it's a good sort of, it's where we start to connect, where trust starts to sort of build, because you go, oh look, it's me, it's my personal details, it's my birthday. It's kind of strange. So we to get this list of directors, we go off to the directors endpoint, but we also go to the directorships endpoint. We're excluding people who are no longer active in the business, who've been given that 288B. But also we're removing company secretaries. We want the directors to sign a contract. At this moment in time, we're not just isolating an individual and their company details, but we're also preparing details for a contract, which we'll get to later. Okay. So if you press play, let's continue. There is a so we're going to look for the right chap. We're going to go with Tom. He's a fairly senior chap over there, and now in this case, he's pretending that, well, the demonstration, we're pretending it's him who's actually signing up his own workplace pension. I'd like to think he's got somebody else going to do that for him. But hey, just confirms that this is definitely the business he wants to set up. And this is the last bit of data gathering. We go to the, we actually use about 8 different APIs in this process, but this particular one goes to the pensions regulator, gets the PAYE reference, and comes back with the staging date. I don't want to type in Tom's PAYE reference here, so we're just going to guess at what it might be by typing it in. There's an example of the letter that you might have been sent, just in case you to jog your memory. Then this final slide shows the information we've captured. Again, you can see what we pulled back from Company's House by DueDil, and then confirmation that it's definitely Tom we want to use and sign up. He'll go ahead and press the submit button shortly, and as he does this, we'll get to the next slide, we'll see. We verify the data we've got matches, and we start compiling into a set of data. And we're going to push this towards an e-document service called Signable, who, so there we go, the document's been created. He can click that button, go through into the e-document, and then as you can see, it's got the same information which we've just captured. And he can sign this participation agreement, and that's one task of setting up a pension scheme done. Now, if you go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, this is a process. This paperwork process could take weeks to organise. And one of the things we wanted to make sure we could do is reduce that time. So a key part of that was onboarding, making sure it could be done within a short period of time. I've been doing a lot of waffling, but actually if you do this, and we paused the video a few times, but if you do this end to end, you know your company name and you know your staging date, that's 90 seconds. That's not 2 weeks, that's pretty good stuff.
Super quick.
Yeah, so this young lady is busy using our self-serve platform. That's what she's supposed to be doing here. When we set up Smart Pension, we mystery shops that are competitors, and at the time, like I said, they were taking around 2 weeks to set up a scheme, and this was obviously not going to work with the volume of people we knew were due to stage. So we looked for a technical solution to each aspect of the process. So we use and love DueDil API. It's very important to our onboarding process. We use like 7 other different APIs to enhance and enrich the process. And and yeah, as I said, thanks to the DueDil API, we were able to reduce it down to 90 seconds. It's been really brilliant. And the end-to-end process of getting a scheme set up and completing the tasks on this slide it could take a very long time. We've actually had it tested by a third party who's gone through the whole process end-to-end and got it done in 30 minutes. And that's fantastic. That's really key for that company who's actually got a job to run. You know, and just like this is just like your tax return. You're not going to do it 3 or 4 months beforehand. Everyone does it at the last minute or later. It's amazing how people are actually late in doing this process. This next slide is sort of quite close to my heart. It's not all about doing this quickly and avoiding fines. This is about businesses offering their staff a decent and growing pension scheme, something for the employees to look forward to when they retire. And for that to become a reality, the employers have to submit their pension contributions to us every time they pay their staff. And it's a bit arduous. The sort of traditional process was to go into your payroll software and export a CSV file of numbers and then do a bit of maths and upload that. And we've managed to do a good job of reducing that as a headache, including the CSV process. But it's still tiresome when you're having to sort of use one bit of software and then another. So, and my colleagues sort of laugh about this, I'm quite evangelical about payroll, but I have a vision where CSVs get removed and CSVs that are linked to pensions get removed, and and like DueDil, our API can be used by our partners. So you might recognise some of the names on here. We actually expose our API so that they can use it, and meaning that we are compatible with these people, so they can pay those pension contributions directly from their software. So no more CSV nonsense.
It's the dream.
It's the dream. And so to finish off, when we started, we surveyed hundreds of SMEs, asking them what they wanted when it was time for them to set up work pension scheme. Their response was a resounding common theme that culminated in the 3 bullet points that are on the slide that make up our strapline. The fast piece being that the 90-second sign flow, getting it done within 30 minutes, but we aim to be the tech in fintech, and as such reduce as many of the barriers as possible to entries, including integration with HR and payroll platforms. We are pension regulator approved. We invest our funds with our friends over at Legal & General, and we have the all-important Master Trust Assurance accreditation plus a 5-star de facto rating. And the free piece, well, we've discussed that our service is free to employers and their advisors, and employees pay a very competitive 0.75 bips on their pension contributions.
So like DueDil, Smart Pension has a website, but it also has an API that kind of allows people to interact with that slightly more efficiently. Is that right? Yeah,
we spoke about how we are an API first solution. So this means that our websites that advisors, employees use are powered by our own API. When you interact with Smart Pension, be that through our website or one of our partners who have integrated directly with us, you're connecting to the different endpoints within our API. And so yes, this is just like DueDil's own platform, where it's an API first, and then there are various websites that allow you to filter out that data and get to the information that you need.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, Sam. It's fantastic to see the data being used in such a smart way to kind of improve these processes that might otherwise be kind of long and laborious. So now that Sam's shown us how DueDil's data can be integrated into other systems to improve kind of customer experience and sign up and improve efficiency, I'd like to show how we've chosen to present the data on our web platform. So everything I'll show here is available or soon to be available through the live feed of our API. So I'll just switch over to DueDil. So what we're looking at now, the dashboard, is DueDil's landing page. And it gives you updates on the companies that matter to you. So whether that's media stories, sales triggers, or risk and compliance related updates, which we can see a bit further down the page here. So the idea here is to let you keep on top of important changes and events in your universe of businesses with minimal effort, essentially. So I'm now going to navigate over to a company profile. In the first place we come to on a company profile, the key information tab gives you essential KYC information. So that could be things like company number, address, industry information, and we'll even tell you if the company is registered with the FCA. So all these kinds of really important nuggets of information can be pushed straight into your processes. So if you'll need us for data a little bit deeper than the key information, then we can click over to a directors tab of a different company profile. So here you can see all the current and historical directors of a company. As we saw, were pulled into Sam's form in the demonstration. On DueDil, we'll overlay them with additional insight to help you kind of zero in on some key players. So such as where a director is also a shareholder, here the number of directorships they hold, how long they've been in the company, so on and so forth. And also on each director's page, you'll find kind of all individuals' appointments and links to other directors too. So as with automating processes with data, the idea is to help make gathering this kind of essential information as easy and as quick as possible. So building on the directorship information, we also have an ownership tab, which we're on now, which shows detailed beneficial owner and shareholder information, again with linkages to other data sets. And we'll also show you all the connected companies, so parents, subsidiaries, and also related companies. This is all designed to simplify the process of understanding a company's ecosystem and also to remove the need to manually construct these relationships and structures by going through official filings. So in addition to this, I'll move over to the group tab of Spotify now, and we can see that we allow you here to visualize a company's corporate structure so that you can kind of really easily uncover power structures and allow you to understand how companies relate to each other. And here you'll see a kind of really good illustration of our recent internationalization, where you can see the kind of UK company that whose profile we're on now, connected to all its various international sister companies. So as mentioned here, all the data I've shown you is available via a live feed through our API, which you can use to automate either external or internal facing processes with ease and also accuracy. So members of the DueDil team will be in touch after the webinar for any questions, but we'll kick things off now. Sam, I want to start off by asking you how you integrated the API. What was that process like?
That was a lot of fun, actually. We were setting up Smart Pension at the time when the DueDil API was relatively new, and so I had the luxury of speaking direct with your CTO, Luke. And so we worked quite closely on perfecting what we wanted, which was a slick sign-up process. And it was actually one of the first things we built. So one of the first APIs we connected with, and we knew we wanted a quick way of navigating to lists of company names and get their details. And we worked out we worked quite collaboratively with your team to understand the nuances within companies' house data. This was all quite new to us. So, for example, I mentioned we go to the directorships endpoints to remove people who weren't relevant to us. I didn't realise we would need that until we sort of got in bed with the API and found out that these were some of the things we needed. We built so Luke, like I said, I spent a lot of time with him, and noticed that actually it's his birthday today. Ironically shares a birthday with my son, also called Luke, so there's got to be some synergy there. It's perfect.
It's meant to be.
Perfect compatibility. Happy birthday, Luke. But so he, like Smart Pension, there's a synergy with the way in which DueDil write code. You use a language called Ruby on Rails, just like we do, and we wrote a piece of code that connects to the DueDil API using a Ruby on Rails gem, and that is a sort of universal traffic cop, gets the API connected to our application. We've actually exposed that piece of code and made it free, so anyone using who also writes in Ruby on Rails can go to GitHub and search for the Smart Pension DueDil client and pull that down for free and do exactly the same thing that we've done, as we demonstrated in that time.
Fantastic.